do? Okay. Shalom, everyone. I've even got my squirrel cup here. I don't know. It is the first snow of our season, and I don't know why. That first snow is kind of magical, especially when you didn't expect it. We did see in our forecasts that it's going to get colder at the end of this week, and that possibly we were going to have snow tomorrow. But it was a complete surprise when we woke up this morning. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to the weather or something. But shalom, my dear friends. Hello, everyone, and good morning. It's a little bit later morning because I really just enjoyed the snow. I enjoyed our little group text with my family, and hearing how my mother-in-law was enjoying her first snow up here in Idaho, and how her dogs were kind of out playing in it and all of that kind of stuff. And I actually realized as the sun really started to come up and everything was melting, that suddenly the birds came out and they were so loud. I don't know if I'll even be able to capture it on camera. I tried to capture it at the beginning here, but I don't think film could ever do it justice as the sun's coming up and the snow is melting and the birds are tweeting and everybody's kind of waking up. And it seemed like we had some different birds, like maybe they were migrating and kind of got caught in it a little bit, because there was some really pretty birds out this morning. But anyway, it is Tuesday, and that a long time ago, in the good old days, that is when I posted videos on here, and I have been gone for a little bit from this channel, and somewhat on purpose. I didn't plan it, but then when things started happening, I realized I needed to take a little calm break, spend some more time with God, try to listen. My anxiety had kind of gotten off the charts because of the last part of our season. But I have now taken a couple weeks off. I took Sukkot off. As you see, I did a couple videos. And when I took those off, I really had all these things I wanted to accomplish, like always. I don't know why I make my to-do list so big. But then last week, I actually took a week off. We had a 3-day weekend, and my hubby and I, as he was about to start a new job. We did all of our projects, as you saw on the other channel, on Say I Do Forever. But the week after that, the Tuesday through Friday, I should have come back here and sewed. I have one more dress left, and I wanted to finish it up. But I just took the week off to organize my kitchen, to be quiet before God, to, all of those things, just stopping for a moment. And sometimes you need to stop all the chaos in your life for a moment. That's what vacations are good for. They're good for getting you a new perspective, kind of giving you a new viewpoint, because when you're in the day-to-day grind and you're in survival mode, you can forget the goodness of God, and you can forget to look around, and you also view things in this tunnel vision, I've noticed. And when you step away, even if you didn't go anywhere, you just step away from your ordinary chores, your ordinary things, you get a new perspective, and that is so helpful. And so that's what I did all last week. And the week before that, in between the Sukkot and that, I was trying to finish up a couple last wedding gowns didn't quite. I have this one last one that I've got to finish up today. And then I'm hoping I won't have any more. Of course, usually somebody who knows me, who has a sister or somebody, will get a hold of me and I'll kind of fit that in. But overall, I've got a little bit of a break here to just start delving back into my channels, delving back into just time with God. Oh, take a deep breath and breathe again. So anyways, it was a good time off. Sukkot really brought so much peace back to my life. It helped me to once again kind of be a homemaker, so to speak. Just do some cooking and some cleaning and some reflecting. I don't know, it was a great time with family. It just brought me so much. It helped me reflect on everything and also look forward to what this new year, I know the Jewish New Year has already started, but I'm also looking for January or these holiday seasons and what I want to do next. And it's interesting when you have time to think. You go, okay, what is it that I want to do? What is my heart saying? And you have to be careful because, the Bible does say your heart is deceitful. So you have to really rely on the voice of God. But sometimes he starts to probe your heart, probe your desires and stuff like that. And I, in all my pondering and thinking, have really been thinking about the three, besides my husband and my kids and my in-laws and my parents, besides that, my passions and have always kind of honed into a couple three top things. And one, of course, has been what I do on this channel, and that is to teach people how to read the Bible, how to study the Bible, how to get stuff out of it on their own so they don't have to rely. Pastors are great. Podcasts are great. I hope you're listening here. But in the end, I think what I want to instill on you and also on my home group that meets in my home every Sunday, I don't want to be the teacher. I don't want to teach them what the Bible says. What I want to do, especially on the Sunday one, is I want them to all week long learn and then come together and share as Christians. And so we had somebody in our group that was brand new, and he said, well, you're the teacher this week. And I said, I'm not really the teacher. I don't see myself, maybe I'm more like a hall monitor, just making sure we stay on task and keep digging and ask the questions that make us dig a little deeper. And that's what I hope for this channel, is that I'm helping women and some men to learn what maybe they didn't learn in church, to learn how to, the church always tells us, read through the Bible, read through the Bible. Here's a plan, you'll read through the Bible. But so many of us have done that and kind of done our daily read and then kind of like, what's that all about? I want to teach people how to, okay, I've read the passage. Now, how do I dig deeper? How do I look into the history? How do I look into the archaeology? How do I cross-reference? How do I find more verses that help me build the case for whatever this passage is? Or how do I balance that out? I see that, like in the Old Testament, right now we are studying in David in our home group. And there's some really harsh things. And so you can in one chapter see God as a cruel and mean God. You're like, what on earth is going on? But when you have been studying the entire thing and you know how to go and look up other situations other stories, and you also start to see the heart of God over all the Bible, then you see that in that one chapter that somebody would say he's a mean and cruel God, you see that there was 1,000 years or whatever of him being gracious and holding, waiting for them to turn around. And when they didn't, he comes out and says, okay, now we're going to have to deal with this. I need to punish you like a parent punishes a child, so that you guys know right from wrong. And that's, I think, my passion. It's not for me to be a teacher. I'm not naturally a teacher. I myself have reading disabilities and all kinds of struggles. But when I learned some of these little techniques, like instead of reading the Bible to see yourself, when you read through the Bible and you're looking for yourself in there, like, how does this apply to me? You can see that you'll be like, well, I would never be that mean like God is, stuff like that. But when you read through the Bible and you look for God and his character over and over again, every passage throughout, you build a case where you begin to see the love and the mercy and the grace of God. And you see a thread throughout Old Testament to New Testament. And you see that the New Testament becomes the answer for the Old Testament's problems, and vice versa. I think both are so, so critical. And when Christians only read the New Testament, or when they only read the Old Testament, or only read the New Testament, they are missing out. Or if they only read Revelations, so many Christians will only read Revelations because they want to see what's coming and they want to be warned. But if you're worried about what's coming, then you're only going to see the fear. You're not going to see the love and the grace, and that God is so gracious. Anyway, that's one of mine. And so this channel kind of fulfills that purpose. And this video might be a little bit long. I might try to put some timestamps in the description so that you can just go to some different points. But so the Finding Shalom channel really fulfills that. I do not have grandchildren, and sometimes I feel like I didn't do the greatest job with my own children. Only 1 out of 3 are actually following the Lord. And sometimes I'm hard on myself, and other times I realize that the world has swallowed them up. And I want for them, to know the love and grace of God. And that's hard because as a mom, I can't really speak to them about it, or they get angry or they get frustrated. And so I just have to pray for someone else to come into their lives. And we pray every day that somebody will walk the walk with them and lead them back. But I also will never have any grandchildren. You think, well, it could happen someday, but with a lot of circumstances, I probably will not have grandchildren ever. And now that I have left the dress shop, I don't even have employees, so I just have this desire at the end of my life here I want to show or influence certain things and leave a legacy for those certain things. And one for this channel is, for Finding Shalom, is to teach people how to dig in and find God in the scriptures and find his love and his grace, and how they can do that. My other channel is Say I Do Forever. And since I was first a young married in Riverside, California, and we're part of a wonderful marriage Sunday school class and group, where we learned all the skills to have a good foundation in our marriage. And then moving up here to Idaho and realizing that they didn't have these same programs, and not everybody was blessed. And even in California, you know, I'm sure not every church had such a great program. We were just blessed, and wanting to give that to people, and also wanting to show people what a real marriage looks like, that there's failures and there's, you know, times you have to pick yourselves up. There's times you're in love and times you're not in love, you know, the in love thing. And so our marriage channel, we're still trying to figure out where that is. We started out doing more the kind of how-to videos, and then it's kind of switched over to a vlog, which I think people enjoy more. But how do we make that into showing some skills and things that we've learned along the way, and things we've failed at through the way, and that it's okay that to forgive and to give your spouse grace and mercy. So that channel fulfills that need for me and my passion. And then being a seamstress, and I really wanted to go to fashion school, and that was my dream and my desire, to learn all of those things in a setting like school. And unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to pursue that. And so later on, when God gave me an opportunity to run a bridal shop out of nowhere, and I'm just so blessed, and he used it to pull me out of depression. He also used it to teach me, like, when you're doing alterations on a wedding gown, you learn more from alterations than you will from just making things from scratch, because I started doing everything from scratch. So I had this desire. In our last couple of years at the shop, we moved my sewing room from the upstairs to the downstairs, and my hubby built me this wonderful, gigantic cutting table, which had 3 or 4 spots for seamstresses. And I had this dream that I would be training, because in my years there, I hired a lot of seamstresses, and it was hard to find seamstresses who knew bridal especially. And although I trained most of them on bridal, some of them came. I was lucky God brought some into my life that already knew how to do bridal. But there were a couple that I got to, that were great seamstresses, but didn't know bridal and formal wear. And so although I trained them, each seamstress that came into my life also brought me knowledge, or have you tried it like this? And we would work it out. And so I had this dream of having seamstress after seamstress by my side while we did life together and did the bridal world together. And COVID happened, and that never was able to fully be seen. And then sadly, I watched as we closed the shop, and we tore down that giant cutting table and desks and stuff. And I thought, well, gosh, I need to maybe teach seamstresses here in my home, you know, in my studio. And that has been hard because that will cut into the time that I need to be sewing and making the money to pay the bills, and also to get stuff done. So then, you know, there was a friend of mine, she's from Africa, and did the Miss Africa pageant, and we worked with her over and over again. And she heard my cry of when, you know, we were in the studio, that I said, I just really, there's no seamstresses. They're not learning these skills. And this is way back, you know, years ago. And I said, I built this, and I hoping to bring seamstresses in. Well, she started a school here in Idaho, actually 2 of them, one in our town and one in Boise, where they're training seamstresses. But of course, they're right now at the bottom level of beginner. And so we still need seamstresses. But also I want to pass that, I think, torch. I want to pass that on to the next generation or to anyone who wants to learn. And so that's been a struggle because my Finding Shalom page, I had posted just for my brides kind of a tour so they knew how to get to me, and that took off. And a lot of my people who follow me here on Finding Shalom are seamstresses. And then when I open the Bible and talk about God and peace and all that, they leave because they wanted to be here for the sewing. And then I haven't had time to do that. So stay with me, and I'm not saying it's for sure, but in the last couple of weeks, as I've had quiet time, I've thought about opening one more channel, and that would be all of my sewing, which I don't know how fast I can make videos, but if I can just one at a time teach a skill, I'll be leaving that for the next generation. And I think that's what I've really been thinking about, even in my Say I Do Forever channel. As I throw a recipe up that my mom or my aunt or my grandma always made around the holidays, or, a certain season of the year, I feel like I'm leaving that for my children. And when I'm videoing my mom or my parents or his mom, which is hard because they also are not fond of being filmed, but I feel like it's a legacy. I feel like I'm filming them so that I can then go back and see those videos and remember how much, such good times we had. So I guess legacy is what I've really been thinking about. And tell me what you think. Would you follow a sewing channel? And I do have an old channel. You could look it up. It's years and years and years and years ago. We had the Christa's Dress Shop, and it's SHOPPE on YouTube. And that was before YouTube was really popular. And there's some of our commercials on there that, one of the, actually, I don't know if we put it on the channel or if you just look up Chris's Dress Shop, and KMVT, our news channel, actually had our commercials on there too. So I don't know if I should try to figure out how to remember the password for that and get on there and use that channel. Anyway, I'm just talking out loud. Talking about the things that have been in my mind the last couple weeks as I've had alone time and time that I wasn't scrambling to get all these dresses done. I can now think about the next step and everything. So tell me what you think. What should we do with our marriage channel? What should we do, with Finding Shalom? I really still want to keep with this Friday. I want to start again and hash through the rest of the Gospels. And then I'd like to do some Old Testament stuff. I really want you guys to learn the most amazing stuff we have learned in our home Bible study. Like I said, we went through Acts 3, I think 3.5 years ago. We were just a group of people who had been going to church every day, every Sunday, and still, we started to do this little Bible study together. It was just two couples, us and our neighbors, and we'd only do it once a month. And we started to discover some things maybe we should do this, and maybe we should invite other people. And so we started in the book of Acts, and we learned what the first church was like. We were like, how come our churches aren't exactly like this? And how come we don't learn? I mean, we go to Bible study, but it's all topical now. There's so many Bible studies that are just on a topic, and you kind of skim the scriptures to try to prove your point for the topic. And even a lot of pastors' sermons are like that. There are some pastors that will do it, go through the scriptures verse by verse and chapter by chapter. but it's really good to do that. So we decided as the 2 couples, and then it grew to 3 couples, and then it was more people and some singles, and through the 3.5 years, it's been a little of this and a little of that. We just have had people come and go. We have some regulars that have been there from the beginning, and we have gone through Acts and learned about all of the cities, the archaeology, we got to see all of that, the characters, the history, and then we went to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all of that. And we are now leaving 2 Samuel, and we're headed into Kings. We've also been doing Chronicles while we do that. We're kind of doing it, trying to be in chronological order the best we can. So I'd like to do that here on this channel too. After we get through the Gospels, I really want to go to, maybe we should go to Acts, and then maybe we should go, to that same journey we did, because now here we are 3 years later, and wow, our minds are blown at how much we can see the character of God, how much we know God better, how much closer we are to God. So those are just some, I just thought I'd sit down and randomly chat with you. How, what's your journey like? I need feedback. I think that's one of the things that happened in August. Number one, I was really, really exhausted, August and September. And I was trying to do all the videos for the 2 channels. And the videos for Say I Do Forever, when we do them vlog style, they're easier because they just are what's happening. And then the editing's a little bit of work. But this channel, one of the things is I feel like my heart's got to be right. I feel like I've also got to do the studying. I've got to know what I'm talking about, which sometimes it's hard for me because, like I said, I do have a reading disability. And so I got to do the searching. And if I'm in a crazy sewing time, I don't have time necessarily to do all the digging I want to do. Plus, I also do all of the prep for our Bible study group on Sundays. We have a Facebook group, and I prepare all the videos that go up every day. Not make videos, but we find videos about the archaeology of the area, the history of the area. We find some really great sermons or some Bible studies, and then we come together on Sunday to discuss all of it. So I'm usually preparing all of that and trying to map it out to see, what do we study next? We got to a really, when we were Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, all that, we could go through it consecutively, and it pretty much was all in chronological order. Even Judges and Ruth. It was once we got to 1st and 2nd Samuel, or 2nd Samuel, that now we're pulling in all these others. There's a little Kings, there's a little Chronicles, and so I have to sit and map it all out with 3x5 cards. Like, okay, we got to study this and this and this. So it all becomes kind of overwhelming, and then to have it in my busy season, it was overwhelming. But then, Satan really attacked my mind. I wasn't getting sleep, and we started to get a couple negative comments that kind of got to me. Then I had some friends or acquaintances or people just say the right thing, that that Satan, he knows your triggers, and then family members who kind of stirred some things up, and it just was that perfect storm. And then I started, every time I made a video, especially if it was about Jesus, I would lose subscribers left and right, and that gave me a little bit of hit, and that was actually showing that there's some pride there that I need to work on, and God's been working on that on me. It's hard not to have a pride problem if you're in the public at anyway, but you lose subscribers and you're like, we're trying to build the channel and we're like always going downhill. Every time we say the name of Jesus, we fall down the little hill of YouTube. So that was getting to me a lot. Just my anxiety was high. I was tired. And so taking that time off and really saying, okay, God, this is about you. This isn't about me. I am not here to make a name for myself. I am not here. Like, I wish I could almost do this without my name or my face involved. I wish, because really, I want to be the person who points. When you ask me why my marriage survived some of the hardest times, why I was able to pull out of depression, how I got through things, I don't want you to look at me like I'm a strong person. I want to point to my Savior who got me through it. I want to point to the one who held us together, who convicted us when we, kind of gives us, conviction when we're not doing it right, and that we need to say we're sorry to our spouse. When it comes to marriage, I want to point to, and I want to lead people to the answer. I think that's what it is. I see myself more as a hall monitor or what would it be like in a museum? The person showing. That's all I want. I just want to take you guys and say, God, guys, you got to read this in the Bible. You got to see this for yourself. You got to meet my Savior. And so that's what I see. And so it's not about me. It's not about the numbers. It's not about the channels. It's before I'm gone, I want to point and do what God put me here on earth to do. And if I start a sewing channel, then I want that to also be about, guys, let me show you how you can make money being a seamstress. See, I thought God gave me the skill of being a seamstress, and how on earth was I going to use that? We don't live around factories or anything that I could use my skills to even make money. Like, I could go work at a fabric store, which I did. I've worked at 3 fabric stores in my life. But how can I tangibly make money being a seamstress? How can I serve God being a seamstress? And so I want to pass that skill on too. When I started doing bridal, I knew nothing about it. I had to literally learn everything on my own. It was before Google. It was before Google. When I finally opened my shop, they were just really starting to, Google was a thing and everything. And I remember when we opened our bridal shop, and I had just for so many years been doing bridal alterations in the mix of other alterations, and I knew certain things just because I was working on each piece of knowledge by itself. But I remember getting a call. My daughter actually took the call. She was 16 at the time and home from the school, and we had just opened our shop. And she says, Mom, this gal wants to know if you do French bustles. And this is so funny now because I totally know what a French bustle is. But I was thinking, there's different kinds of bustles. I'm like, French bustles? And I told her, I said, absolutely, we can do a French bustle. I had no idea what a French bustle was. And then she says, well, how much? And I said, same price as the regular bustle. And then I scheduled it with her, got off the phone, and I told my daughter, Google it. Tell me how to do a French bustle, And people would call me once I had the store. They would call me to say, what is the difference between a bra and a bustier? And I'm like, I don't know, And so every step along the way, I actually learned each and everything. I didn't get to go to school, unfortunately. I learned it all the hard way. And Then when dresses came into my store, and maybe a seamstress had done half of the alterations, but I had to do the other half or something like that, I'd pick it apart and see how they did it. Or when I was doing an alteration, I would turn it inside out and I go, that's how you can sew that better. You know, I learned so much just hands-on, one thing after another, until I was the master seamstress teaching others to do it. And that's so amazing, you know, and then learning how to price things, learning how to price things according to my worth, and to give me an actual, you know, way to make money to pay our bills. And for 14 months, this past year and a half or whatever, 14 months, my hubby took the time off to not only heal from his illness, but then to help his mother as she went through her illness, and then the move, and him taking time to build the studio. But I was able to be the sole provider for the first time in my life, and all with my sewing machine. And I want to teach that. I want to teach that. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in, and I will be seriously considering doing that in the next couple months, just as I have some quiet time to start thinking and planning things out. But I thought today, it was no particular subject, but I wanted to show you our first snow. And I also wanted to sit here and chat with you and talk to you about my heart, about things I've been thinking about, and what I can do better. I'm in a learning game here. I am learning right along, just like that gentleman who called me, well, you're the teacher, like you should know. I am on a journey, and I'm learning right along with you guys, whether that be whatever. And I want to share what I've learned so far, but you guys can actually teach me so much. I know you guys can. So I love your comments, and I love to learn more, and I love to know a different way of doing things, sewing wise, marriage wise, life, cooking. I especially need some help in the cooking department. So I appreciate all of you guys and your comments all the time. So anyway, I am going to now finish today my last dress, my last official dress, until I actually take another dress that I'm not supposed to be taking. You know, I love a good sad story, and people who know me, it's hard for me to say no when they say, my sister, you know, if they're a friend of mine, my sister's getting married and I can't, you know, she needs somebody. And I could pass it on, but some of the seamstresses in our area are not, either there's a couple different things happening. Either I know some good seamstresses, they're not taking anything anymore, they've kind of retired, or there's some new ones that just don't quite know bridal enough yet, and I'm afraid to send somebody I know and love to somebody else like that. And then 3, there's a couple seamstresses that are kind of new to the area that actually do a really, really good job, and I know that they would take good care of them, but they're triple my prices. And so I hate to send somebody I love and know, or their family, to any of those. And so I tend to take on some things. So I'm going to try not to. I really don't want to do anything officially until February 1st. And I want to take time to really study the Word of God, hang out with you guys, create videos, learn some new skills that way, because I'm still learning and all of that, editing and all that. And just spending time with my family for the holidays. So, but this morning I did enjoy quite a few of the birds singing. I'm enjoying that. And I hope I can catch some of that footage. I'll either put it at the beginning or at the end of this video. And like I said, I'll try to put some timestamps. I don't know, I was all over the place. I don't know if I could do timestamps on what I did just now. I'm rambling now, so I better go. I'm going to grab my coffee. Hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Tell me what the weather's like where you are. And also tell me what you're reading in the Bible. Tell me what you want to study. Tell me what you want us to do next. I love you. I'm totally up for learning with you, and I'm totally up for hanging out with you and whatever life brings us next. So I'm going to wish you a shalom and be on with my day. Love you all. Have a great day. Shalom, dear friends.